I'm Sam Butler.
Sam Butler doubles down at Hickory.
And you're on the Fast 15.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Fast Friday 15 with Sam Butler, episode 10. Welcome.
Thank you.
You've been here all week.
Yes, I have.
It was nice. You tell us a little bit about you. You know, we know you in here, but a lot of the other people out there don't know you. Tell us where you came from, what you're doing, how you got where you're going, you know, all the good stuff.
Gotcha. All right, so I started when I was 9 years old. Started in Quarter Midgets, and then I went to Legend Cars, and now I'm in late models.
Nice. That was quick. Like it just all happened just like that, huh? Boom.
Yep.
Bazinga.
All in a matter of,
Isn't it?
you know.
That's awesome. Let's go back to it. Something I brought up a bunch of times on here. Starting Quarter Midgets once again. The whole world's connected by Quarter Midgets.
Yes, it has.
What do you think of Quarter Midgets? How did it help you get where you are now? Did it pull you back? Did it, you know, I want dads to watch these shows of, you're 17 now, right? Like,
Yep.
and you get a chance to think back about the things in your career that were good and the things that were not good, where you big learned and didn't learn as much, you know what I mean, or learned the most. So how did Quarter Midgets fall into the scope for you?
So
Indiana kid, right?
Yep. I think the biggest thing that it kind of goes with is the late model and the Quarter Midget. I mean, they're obviously way two different cars.
Sure.
But you know, you get more. Like I've talked to multiple Quarter Midget buddies of mine,
Sure.
and then they're like, you know, I can kind of feel this because of Quarter Midgets.
Right.
Because it's, you know, it's a slick tire. It's complete slick. It's kind of the same, but a lot different.
A lot different, sure.
Other than the Legend car. But yeah, I think Quarter Midgets taught me a lot, you know, traveling everywhere throughout the U.S. for 4 years kind of does.
Yeah.
Gives you a little bit more perspective about things.
Sure. Now, just because I try to ask everybody that comes on this show, racing family or no racing family?
First generation racer.
First generation racer. What sparked that? What was the boom? What was the boom? That's where I'm going.
I think the biggest thing was whenever, I mean, I probably have a huge Hot Wheels collection. That
Yeah.
was the first probably thing that kind of started it all. Cars in general, just kind of like what, you know,
Right.
how they work and stuff. And when I was in kindergarten, my mom said I didn't know people by the name. I knew people by the car they drove.
That's it.
Drove.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always been an interest to me, and it's just, you know, grown more from there.
Car guy then. Dad's not a car guy.
No. No.
Or mom's not.
No.
Mom's not into cars, right? Like, it's so awesome. You think that's I mean, you've shown some early success right here, right? Like, even just in your short career, you've done very well. Some wins at Hickory, and then, you know, a couple of really great car tour runs, and like, what do you attribute that to as a driver perspective? If you were going to give young kids advice to say, hey, Johnny, I know you're 8 right now, but here's some of the things you need to do, or here's some of the things I did to have success, what would that advice be?
I've realized that I've started most, you know, stuff late for the kind of era that we're in.
Sure.
So I'd say, you know, little Johnny, I'd say,
Yeah.
stay patient, wait for things, not to necessarily come to you, but everything falls in its own time frame. And I think, you know, for young Johnny,
Yeah.
he just has to work as hard as he needs to work very hard, because for the kind of, you know, era that we're in, like I said, you have to work 10 times harder for anything now. So I think, you know, you'd start younger, because, you know, people will see, oh, say Johnny turns 15 and he's in a Legend car, you know, but he has this many sponsors and he's already this better off than this 16-year-old.
Right.
I think just being younger and more adult-like when you're younger is just a very key point to racing these days.
Growing up quick. Money too, right? Like
Yes.
you got to find money.
Yes.
That's the number one thing.
A1.
Do you think since you really, I mean, you really haven't been from a family that has spent exuberant amounts of money, right? Like we've talked about different paths. Some kids are from a racing family, so that gives them kind of a one-up early.
Yeah.
But it seems really interesting to me that a lot of times the kids that aren't from a racing family, they dig so hard that the shortfalls that come through it are a lot harder. Do you think that's true?
I believe that's true. You know, I have a few friends that their dad used to race, and, you know, they got into bigger cars like 2 to 3 years before me.
Sure.
So, you know, they already have all those engagements that you need to make. They already have a path, and you're still trying to find your way out of the maze
Right.
halfway through your career. So I think, yes, it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say easier for them because, you know, it's still
tough, right,
it's
for
still
everybody.
tough
Sure.
for everybody.
How do you plan to continue to go up the chain, right? Like we know late models is just a stepping stone for you to try to continue on, but you know, as you and I have talked many times, it gets harder and harder and harder. Like, what are your plans to try to move forward? Are you actively searching for money? Because it's not like you come from a family with, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You have to scrape claw, do whatever to be able to get where you're going. What is your plan to try to find sponsorship? Or if there's people that watch this, all three of you, no, I'm just kidding. I appreciate everybody. Like and subscribe, by the way, while we're doing it. What are you trying to do? How does a guy like you that doesn't come from a bunch of cheese, how does he continue to win? How does he continue to strive forward?
A lot of it has to do with how much I love this sport and how much motivation I have for driving good for this sport. So, you know, sponsorships is a whole other deal. Like someone told me it's 60% off track and, you know, 40% on track, and it's one big hairy deal that you have to figure out for yourself. And I'd say for, you know, where I'm at right now is just you got to work every day so hard, you know, nonstop, just trying to find stuff. And then, you know, also for people our age, we also have school, so it's you got to prepare your time well throughout your day. So I say keep just going hard at it.
Yeah. You've been because you don't have a Mondo budget, you've been a kid that has pretty much stayed away from representation, meaning, you know, huge marketing firms or all this. You see a lot of other people taking. Was that purely out of, man, we just don't have millions of dollars to be able to do it, so we have to maximize our funds? Is it, hey, we're going to try to go as far as we can go as a group? Or like, has there, I'm sure, I know you've been offered a lot of deals for people that wanted you to give them money. Has there been a reason why you haven't done it?
Oh God. I'd say
Is it just the funds?
It really is, I think, because, you know, there's a lot of teams out there that have pathways
Sure.
for, you
Sure.
know, just going straight to Cup or straight to Xfinity and stuff. I've honestly stayed with y'all because, you know, we've already had a year relationship, and I think, you know, a relationship is a big part of racing, you know, have
Yeah.
as many relationships as possible. And we've already worked at it for a year, so we already are comfortable with each other, so we have no hesitation to telling each other
What you
know,
think.
straight up.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's the one thing I think is interesting about your deal. There's just no egos involved.
exactly.
Right? Like it's everybody trying to pull the weight, and sometimes there's feelings that get hurt both on and off the track. But
Exactly.
what's intriguing about it is that there's feelings that get hurt on and off the track. Like everybody talks to each other like they're a band of brothers, and I think weirdly that's what contributes to
Exactly.
the greatness of it. And you in your times when I've seen, you know, people ask things of you, you're much that kid, right? Like you want those people around you to be happy,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
you rise to those occasions. How do you keep it going, right? Like, I mean, it's been a really good ride, man, since you really hit your stride kind of 3 months into your first season. You've really been strolling, and every week is a big leap and a big leap and a big leap. And I'm sure it's just a matter of time before you're able to, you know, grab one of those things in the Cars Tour. But what do you do to stay on that path of going the correct way in a sport that has so many ups and downs?
You know, honestly, just because of how much I love the sport, it's honestly like it's just there. I
Yeah.
feel like it's just I don't really have to work hard for me to drive good. Honestly, it's communication is another big deal in this, and
Sure.
that's where we lack sometimes on the track, communication reasons. But it's been getting a lot better.
It
I mean,
has.
obviously, because we've been with each other for a year, and I think that's where a lot of these teams go wrong is because they're jumping around. Oh, this guy has a big name. Oh, this guy has a big name, and I think that's where a lot of people, chase the cover of the book.
Right.
They don't want to go inside and read all the other good details about a not as big name
I understand.
place. So
I understand. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I didn't see that angle. But I think you're probably right as far as that goes. I mean, it's interesting where it doesn't you don't get that initial look just because you are not with that deal. But
Yeah.
I also think that there's probably something interesting toward that too, right? Like
Mhm.
there's something interesting toward the kids that I'll be really honest with you. I found a picture of him and my son from Quarter Midget Racing 8 years ago, maybe, or 7 or 8 years ago,
around
right?
that.
Like, I didn't know Sam then, and apparently we raced against each other a lot of
Yeah.
times. And the intriguing part to it is that Sam worked and worked and worked, but his dad wasn't a professional mechanic, so not a lot of time was he in. Dad, we're not dogging you, but not a lot of time was he in the greatest of things. So, if you really think about your story, that's kind of true, and I never
Yeah.
thought about it till you just said it. But you weren't the most recognized until at that point, even in legend cars a little bit, right? Until
Yeah.
then you became, oh god, where'd this kid come from?
I've always
Right, like,
been
wow.
I've always been in a team where yes, they're known, but not like
The best of the
everyone else
best.
up
Yeah,
here.
yeah, for sure.
And like for example, in the legend car, we started running out of Indiana for 1 year, and then we went full INEX tour. So we went all around. We went to Vegas, we went to Texas, we went to Florida, we went everywhere. And when you start doing stuff like that with a lower team, now that team I used to race with is one of the best people you can
Sure.
imagine.
You guys
to
all
do it.
kind of raised up together.
Exactly. So I think, a big deal is starting off, even if you're like, say you're not a big name guy like myself, and you start out with a lower team, but you see that they have potential. You see that they have so much more than they show. And then, you drive their car to maximum that you can.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, the team and yourself are known.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Like, until you said that, I didn't really think about that about the quarter midget deal. But even there, or the legend card, another perfect example. That's a great perspective to that even I hadn't thought about. How do you think you continue to develop your career? Do you focus all on finding money? Do you have to sell out to find money? Do you haven't up until this point, which I find it awesome, right? Like,
Yeah.
I find awesome that you kind of just stayed true to yourself as the advice that you're giving the young people. That is the more that I think about your career, that's really what you've done. How do you do it as it gets harder?
It's almost like you really have to see the true value in someone because, half these people out here are like, I'll give you money, but, they screw you down the road. So it's kind of hard to find the right people with the right heart. There's a lot of people out there that are just there because they want to help.
Yeah.
They see a struggling young kid that has so much, potential. It hurts for them to even
Right.
watch, so they want to go help and blah blah blah. But you have to distribute through your people and see who's good and who has a good face.
Have you when you sit down and you think, where will Sam Butler be in 5 years from now? Where is that? Is that Cup? Is that my 5-year goal or my couple-year goal is trucks? Is that, like, I'm sure you're a pretty smart kid. You think about a lot of things. You drive in your car a lot, so I know you think about a lot of things, right? Like,
Got a lot of time to myself.
100%, right? Like, so is it that your plan is, man, after this late model deal, I'm going to hope to get a little bit of money to do some trucks, or I can do ARCA, or I'm hoping to get picked up by Hendrick, or what as far as that goes, what do you envision the perfect path being?
You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say a lot of people are like 5-year plan,
Yeah.
10-year plan. What's going on? Where are you going to be? Honestly, I will be happy if I'm just in a race car.
Yeah, I knew you would say something close to that, and so that's kind of a setup, but it wasn't a setup. I just figured that is your deal. I think a lot of people. That's one thing that I admire about you is a lot of people have this dedicated plan where this is the way I want it to go, and this is how it's going to go. And yeah, I'm intrigued by you from the fact of you're able to deal with it on a month by month basis or a year by year basis instead of, and I think that's one of the things that frees you to be as good as you are becoming is, and it's why I'm bringing it up because I think it's a great trait that I would like for a lot of young kids to think about. They don't have a lot of that control of what happens in 5 years, especially from one race, especially from 2 races, right? Like, let yourself go a little bit and maybe don't worry so much about how I'm going to get to the ARCA deal as am I enjoying the late model deal? Am I enjoying the limited deal? Am I enjoying the deal I am in? And I think if you can get young people to do that, that's one of the reasons why this show's supposed to be the Fast 15, but I can let it go as long as I want to. It's one of the reasons why I think you're gaining momentum so quickly is I think that the truth is you're able to not deal with that heavy burden of 5 years from now. You just kind of have an attitude to try to deal with the short, right? I mean,
Yeah, and like
it's got to be freeing. It's hard for me as an adult to say that I could do that, right? Like, I think you do it well. I think that that's something that's got to be just, poof, man,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I think a lot of people's dream is obviously Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR.
Sure.
All the high end places, and I mean, honestly, when I get in a race car, all the outside problems just go away.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
awesome.
think just being behind the wheel of a race car is just, you feel free. You feel, there's no problems other than just the car in front of you and that checkered flag that you're trying to get at the end of the race. That's honestly just kind of how I look at things, and that's why I don't really have a 5-year plan. It's just as long as I'm in a race car, I will be happy.
I think that's a great piece of advice for young people, and I'm glad. I'm so glad you said that. I was banking on you to say that, really, in my heart, because I knew that's kind of your truth, and I just wanted to figure out how to get it out of you where I didn't look like I was getting it out of you. Perfect, man.
There's another thing is like, don't let people rush you. For any young people out there that want to race and they're like, oh, I just want to be in a race car. Everyone starts from something, and if it's at the bottom of the barrel, it's at the bottom of the barrel. If you really want to race, if you really want that passion, it will come to you. So time is money, obviously, and time is.
Yeah, but wait, you proved it earlier, right? Like, it doesn't have to be in the cup deal for it
Of
to be
course
great.
not.
Like,
Of course
you,
not.
I know a lot of people that have had great careers at Bowman Gray. I know great careers at Hickory, Tri-County, Ace Speedway. I mean, in the day, which I'm showing my age, but like there used to be just guys that just raced at Hickory,
Yeah.
right? And to a lot of them made a living out of just racing at one short track. Or in Indiana, where you're from, how many sprint car guys make a living, right? Just sprint car racing around Indiana. It's a huge amount.
Yeah.
So for them, that's a great career. That's something they enjoy.
Just, like I said, for a lot of younger people, don't let people rush you and to be like, hey, you're good, you're talented. Give me this X amount of money and you can race this car for X amount of races. Just, you do you, and you do whatever you need to do to be happy. If that's racing, then, go for it and be where you want to be in life. I try to think so positive about it, because the second you get a negative thought in your head, you could go downhill.
Yeah.
And I just keep on saying, as long as I'm in a race car, I'll be fine.
How do you not end up in a sprint car game, right? Like, you're from Indiana, the Ohio
Yeah,
guys. I mean, how do you know what I mean?
That's a very
That's a
good
broken
question,
mold.
because I always get that question, like, how did you not become in dirt racing? And it's kind of like in the back of the the back of the warehouse almost, because I did race dirt for a little bit, and a lot of people don't know that. I raced for not even a full season, half a season, and we had a 600. And we didn't do too bad. It's just a lot of things happened in that same amount of time with the legend car. And so we couldn't, use this much money for this car and use this much money for this car. And I was getting more success out of the legend car and more engagements and more people saying, hey, you're good, blah, 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 come run for me or stuff. So legend car just looked like a better deal, so we sold the 600 and we just went to a legend car.
Makes a lot of sense. Had to travel more.
Yep.
There's not a lot of legend car racing in Indiana, right?
Agreed.
Man, I think you're a great young man. Let's fly off to the lightning round.
Alrighty.
5-star AR bodies.
5-star.
5-star. We're not really sure if AR is still in business. It's hard to get parts from them. Old bodies or new bodies?
Oh, that's hard. Probably new body.
New body. Oh, you got one each.
Actually, probably the old body.
Yeah.
Let me change that.
Oh, my
Old
gosh.
body.
Big spring or coilover?
Why not both?
Good answer. Good answer. Almost feels scripted. Brembo or PFC?
PFC.
PFC. Hashtag PFC. Ford or Chevy?
Chevy. All the way.
Chevy. Tell us about your biggest wreck.
Oh, God.
Put it out. Man, he just crashed right there, it looked like.
I was in it.
You
Right
were,
there.
for sure.
First race of last season, and the late model was pretty bad.
Yeah,
And
that was bad.
I also totaled the legend car at Sportsdrome in Indiana, which was very bad. So that was probably the two that hurt the most.
Yeah.
Well, I also had a Vegas wreck. That was pretty bad as well. Vegas wreck. That was pretty bad as well.
Pretty big one in Vegas. We'll see if we can get any footage of any of those, and we'll throw that in while he's talking. That's usually good stuff. Ford or Chevy?
You already asked that.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Nice, I'm losing my mind. Hidden talents. My screen is smaller. I'm old. I'm not used to I'm having a big screen. I have a little screen. I'm getting old. I can't hardly read.
I can read people well.
Yeah. Good. I think you do that pretty well. Favorite superhero?
Iron Man.
Best racing moment? Ooh,
There's two.
two.
Winning the Bobby Isaac
Young
race.
man from Indiana.
They have definitely punched their ticket.
They have, and guess what, young man? You are the winner of the Bobby Isaac Memorial, the 44th running of the Bobby Isaac Memorial, followed by Josh.
And Bojangles Summer Shootout. Young Lions Championship win.
How'd you get your number?
There's a very big equation for it, and it's fast 15. So,
Yeah, we control everybody.
I kind of honestly forget it. It was that
Okay.
complicated.
All right.
I honestly forget it.
It's
But
okay.
originally it was 8 because Dale Jr. was a big person that I looked up to,
Sure.
and I was born on the 8th of January.
Okay. So then we just threw the one behind it.
Then we just threw the 1 behind it because we couldn't use the 8 for other reasons.
There you go. What's your favorite thing on your pizza?
Honestly, I just like plain cheese pizza, honestly.
Plain cheese pizza.
It's easy.
There you go.
It's food.
I didn't see that coming. Well, it's been great sitting down with you. Thanks for taking your time away from cleaning the car. By the way, that's what he was doing before you came over, I think. To come over and sit down with us for a little bit. As always, man, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope we didn't bore you to death. We went over our 15 minutes a little bit. Hope you got to know a little bit about Sam. If you see him at the racetrack, hit him up. He's definitely a good young man.
If you also have any other questions, Sam Butler Racing on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, or get in contact with us. We would definitely get in contact with him either way. And as always, take care of each other. I hope you go to racetrack. We're going to, you'll see this a week late, so I think we're going to go to, I don't even know, where Tri-County or Hickory or
Tri-County,
maybe
I think.
Ace. Yeah,
I don't know.
something.
Somewhere.
So catch us at the racetrack. Say hello. Have a great week.